إيقاف التسجيل زر إيقاف فويس أوفر.
Hello, we're here at the Moshe Dayan Center's library at Tel Aviv University to meet Professor Nasser Basal. Nasser is a colleague here at Tel Aviv University, an expert in Jewish literature of the medieval Islamic Middle East. Hi, Nasser.
Hi.
Thank you for coming. I wanted to ask you, we know that Jews continued to develop their thinking and writing, even interpretations of the Bible, under Muslim rule. Could you give us a couple of examples?
Yeah, of course. Jews took a very important role in the intellectual creations in the Middle Ages in the Islamic Empire. They were an integral part of the intellectual creation. They wrote like the Muslim scholars on the same fields, on the same issues, both sacred issues and secular issues. Sacred issues, I mean interpretation of the Bible, lexicography of the Bible, translation into Arabic, of course, because Arabic was the language of the Jews, not Hebrew, for speaking. And for the general issues like astronomy, general philosophy, history, and many creations on the daily life of the Jews in the medieval Islamic Empire. We cannot say that they imitated, Muslim scholars. They just wrote, they wrote about the same fields. It was the Middle Ages.
How many people could even read at that time? Maybe it was only for the upper echelon.
I believe that most of the Jews, especially in these fields, they could read text in Arabic. They knew Arabic. Mm-hmm. They didn't know classical Arabic, but they could read Arabic in that time. So it wasn't a problem to find readers in that time.
Mm-hmm. And where are we talking about? I mean, what areas, regions, countries?
In all the Islamic Empire. Jews were everywhere, and they wrote and they dealt with text, everywhere.
You describe a very vibrant literary tradition. Can you tell us something about the manuscripts themselves? Who produced them? Were they expensive? Who could afford them?
Yeah, these manuscripts were written first by the authors themselves, and then they were copied. And now, to copy manuscripts in that time, it was very expensive. But in the Middle Ages, only very, very rich people, only princes, maybe the king, the leader himself, can order or can book some manuscripts. Mm-hmm. It was very expensive. Most of the manuscripts were written on sheets, like these photocopies. Mm-hmm. It's a photocopy. It seems that it was, was written the same way as it appears here. So at that time they wrote on manuscripts, they copied manuscripts, and these manuscripts were very, very expensive. Not everybody could buy manuscripts or order manuscripts.
So how many people could actually read them if only very few could afford buying them?
Yeah. To buy these manuscripts, it wasn't easy. They were very expensive. But I think maybe a rich man can buy manuscript. But poor people, just a scholar, poor scholar, who went to the yeshiva, to the academy at that time, quotation marks, to study these texts. I think it was as a group, and he was not the owner of the manuscripts. It seems to to be that these manuscripts were more in these yeshivas or majlis in Arabic. And Jews studied there these writings.
So tell me, how was all this even possible under the Zimmer rules that restricted non-Muslims like Jews and Christians? So how was all this production possible?
Of course it was possible. Tell you why. Jews and Christians enjoyed freedom of thinking, enjoyed freedom of worship, enjoyed freedom of intellectual creations. Everybody, Jews and Christian, everybody wrote for himself and for his community. Jews wrote about sacred, issues that it was interest for Jews, and Christian wrote about Christian matters. I don't think that Muslims took care of these issues. These issues didn't bother them. Of course, if they don't harm Islam and its prophet. I don't think that Jews and Christians wanted to harm Islam. Because, to harm Islam and to write a polemic literature against Islam and against the Prophet could cost their lives. So it wasn't a problem at all. They wrote whatever they wanted. But sometimes, you can find in these writings some polemic literature that Muslims or Muslim scholars didn't know and didn't read. So they had no problem.
So as long as they wrote for themselves or their own community,
Yeah.
they had quite a lot of room to maneuver.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. They wrote texts that were studied, in the yeshiva or in the community itself. So Muslims didn't know and, didn't appreciate, maybe, didn't want to see these texts, didn't think about it. So it wasn't a problem at all.
A personal question, if I may. What brought a Greek Orthodox to study Jewish literature of the medieval Islamic Middle East?
But I went to high school in the village. I found myself under the inspiration, under the influence of a teacher, a Muslim teacher. He was well versed in classical Hebrew and in classical Arabic, but he taught us Hebrew, biblical Hebrew, new poetry, and grammar. It seems to be that I was inspired from him. I loved the subject. He was very strict. He was very serious. I don't remember even if he smiled once or twice during 5 years. It was, 45 minutes every lesson. He taught 45 minutes. And he loved Old Hebrew and Old Arabic. I think I was inspired by him. So it was very obvious to me when I went to the Hebrew University that to begin to study, Arabic, classical Arabic, Arabic grammar, and of course Hebrew, biblical Hebrew. Of the biblical Hebrew grammar in Spain under the influence of the Arabic grammar in that time. So I became a researcher of Jewish studies of biblical Hebrew. It's what I loved. It's what I wanted to be and what I am now. I deal with what I love.
Thank you very much. It was illuminating. Thank you very much.
Thank you.